Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of BookGoodies podcast, the author series. I am your host, Deborah Carney, and I am joined today by a young lady that has a very interesting book that she has put together that I am extremely interested in hearing how she did it. Genevieve, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and let them know who you are and a little bit about your background.
Well, my name is Genevieve Sipperley. I was born and raised in Alaska, and I now reside in Chicago, Illinois. I went to the Academy of Art University, where I studied motion picture and television screenwriting. And for the last two years since graduating, I've been writing screenplays full time.
That's awesome. So you moved from really, really cold to just mostly cold.
Yep. Yes.
You improved on your climate just a little bit. And I've heard wonderful things about growing up in Alaska, even though most of us are like, well, what's up there other than mountains and water and polar bears?
Well, there's my town was called North Pole. It was just a little bit south of Fairbanks, right in the very middle. And we have a Santa Claus house, and that's about it. And some moose and a lot of stuff. So
awesome. Well, that must have given you a great background to do a lot of imagination and develop your creativity. Okay, so why don't you tell us about your book and first give us a little short description of your book and the title of it, and then we'll talk about how you decided to do this crazy thing.
Well, yes, so the title of the book is called Lights, Camera, Wait, What? And it is basically notes on filmmaking that are ideal for new or independent filmmakers, as well as a quick guide on how to read a script. The book is filled with screenplays that filmmakers can film, or just scripts that you can read as short stories, as well as notes as a guide to when you're writing or filming an actual script. So there's all different kinds of genres and characters for the book. And I got the idea when I was in film school. I was working with students studying directing, and they were always asking me if I had material such as scripts for them to use, and I was happy to let them use my work because it was helping my scripts out there, it was building their portfolio, mine, and it was great to network and build relationships with other filmmakers. Shortly after graduating, when I started a small production company, I was doing the directing and producing, but realized I was kind of focused on the actual writing, and I discovered, but when I was making these short films and things like that, I discovered new ways of creating quality films on a little to no budget, and it just kind of gave me an idea. One day I was just thinking what a great resource it would be to have scripts for filmmakers to film, as well as helpful tips and notes on independent filmmaking all in one place, and the book just kind of grew from there.
That's really awesome. And I like the way you wrapped it all together, because you found out what you liked and you didn't like, and you focused on something that not only you like, but that people need, because there are a lot more independent filmmakers out there now than there were even a few years ago, simply because of the technology. You know, the ease of getting a digital. So much stuff is filmed in digital now, and
absolutely,
much easier than the old film cameras, and much easier to create, with a green screen, your backgrounds or your, whatever. And I have a son that wrote several screenplays, and I put one up on Amazon just as a screenplay for people to read, and people had told me, yeah, I'll read a screenplay as a novel, and I'm like, not so much. So I'm not getting real good reception to it. So it interests me that you took the screenplays, and obviously they're short ones. They're not full-length movies?
Correct. So they're the short scripts because I went with short scripts because for several different reasons. Short scripts are a great way for people to build their portfolio. Like if a filmmaker wants to show his stylistic choices and how they developed and things like that. Short scripts are a great way to to showcase your talent and what you can do without investing in a full-length feature. They're also great for festivals. They are great for trying to figure out what works and doesn't work with you when you're operating a camera and such. They give you a really good feel and ease so that when you do go to tackle a feature film, you already know your style. You already know kind of your niche kind of thing. So it's great for filmmakers to start out with shorts, creating them. So it's just kind of and it's great for festivals as well.
And these are all scripts you've written?
Yes.
And
go ahead.
And are you're giving people the rights to go ahead and make the scripts?
Yeah. So in the book, I do have them all registered with the Writers Guild of America.
Okay.
But in there, I do have a disclaimer. If anybody's actually interested in filming any of the scripts in this book, there is contact information to get a hold of me, just so I can give them an official yes that you can film it, and I just ask for the writer's credit. Also in there, because I own and run a company called the Independent Screenwriters, where I help teach other independent writers actually how to write scripts. So if you can't afford to go to film school or professional writing courses, I kind of teach a 5 to 7 week course on how to write scripts. So I do that with one other person, and so it's kind of so I co-produce under that name too some of my short films.
That's awesome. And one of the things that I learned while my son was at NYU in the film writing program, which was a small program, was that they did get to know a lot of people in the New York industry because the professors just happened to have those connections. But also it was very easy to connect with other people, and this was 10, 12 years ago. It was really easy. He became part of Project Greenlight, and he got to know a lot of folks around the country and also in the New York City area, and then they started their own little local group that was, at the time that Danny was involved with it, they were letting people read their short plays, and they were producing some short plays. And to me, it shows the camaraderie in the industry. You know, everybody thinks of the film industry as cutthroat, and I think that it's become much more cooperative because like-minded people come together. You know, I mean, you're creative, you like to write scripts, you want to see them made into films, and you're making a way that you can make everybody happy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I feel like when people come together, they can really focus and hone in on their specialty. Whereas instead of being spread thin, trying to do everything on set, like when I was producing, filming, directing, doing all of that, I wasn't focusing on my main passion, love, the actual writing aspect. Mm-hmm. And so when I started collaborating with somebody that just loved to produce and somebody that just loved to do camera work and just loved, it's just everybody was just enjoying so much what they were doing, and I feel like you get a much better end product because you aren't trying to spread yourself thin and be the one-man crew. So, and a lot of people like collaboration this day. It helps network and build strong portfolios, and I think the end product of the films actually end up being a lot better as well.
Well, totally. I mean, if there's a production problem and you're in the middle of directing someone and you have to stop to go over and take care of the, production problem, or you have to go over and make sure the camera's running and, you have to handle everything yourself. That's going to slow things down quite a bit. And I would imagine there's a lot of frustration, too, because, you'll get interrupted and, you'll be in the middle of doing something and, you just all of a sudden, it would be easy to become distracted, lose your place, and then everybody's frustrated because you only had so much time to do this. And
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the other thing I would imagine is that they're set in very easy to use locations. Like you don't have 2001: A Space Odyssey, or you're not doing very a lot of elaborate things. So
when you're writing a script, you try to kind of have it in mind that especially if I am or another writer is writing it for an independent film, you have to think about budget.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it is a very low to zero budget. So I do have all different kinds of genres, and I try to keep a small cast in them as well. But it does range from really simple, like 1 to 2 locations, just like 3 or 4 casts, to like one location. But then I do have one script in there that could call for like a higher budget. So there is a range. So if you do have a little bit more of a budget, this one would be great for you. Or if you just want a 2-person cast, this script would be good to film. Or if you want, this genre, do this one. So I tried to do a little bit of everything, so there was a possibility for every kind of shoot. If that makes sense.
That totally makes sense because, again, like you said, you're trying to give people tips and hints on how to go about, shooting a film on a low budget. So you need to make it so that, they don't have to fly to New York City to have Times Square in the background. Or
absolutely, yeah. Exactly, yeah. And then also in there, as I mentioned before, like there's tips and things for independent screenwriters or filmmakers, like such as one example is, I noticed when I was on set, when you're doing like a pan in and out, tracks are great to have, but they get very, very expensive to buy, like the professional tracks.
Yeah.
I actually went to Home Depot, got piping, just like hollow tubes, and attached skateboard wheels to the bottom of the tripod,
mm-hmm.
and you get the same exact smooth effect for $50 compared to X amount that professional tracks are. So it just kind of gives you like tips how to create the same look and feel, but on like a realistic independent budget. So.
I'm going to be buying your book.
Yes.
You got a sale here. And is it available both in ebook and in print, or one or the other?
It is. It's available in hardback and soft, and right now it has. It's going to be on Barnes and Nobles and available to buy through the Nook on ebook. Because it's in script format, whenever they try to convert it to ebook, it wants
right.
to make it like a book form, but it's like, no, it's script form, so it's like a different formatting. So the person working on that, it should be available by the end of the month on ebook as well. But as of now, it's definitely available on soft and hardbound.
Okay. Awesome. That's good to know. And that actually is, well, I can see it being used both ways because, I can see it being useful as a book, but then I can also see it being useful on set on an iPad or, on a tablet computer or a laptop where people can go back and forth and refer to it.
Right.
Yeah. And, of course, we all know that you got to print out the script anyway because everybody needs a copy.
Yes. Yes. Or they can also buy via book.
Yeah, they can all buy their own copy of the book. So how did you go about publishing this? Are you self-published? Are you traditionally or small print? Or how is it published?
So I went through a self-publishing route, and the publishing I went through was online was Lulu.com, mm-hmm. and they actually help. They're an independent publishing company where you can self-publish, but once you go through them, they also help you as well. So it's kind of a great tool. You have the option to do your own marketing, and you can keep your name as a publisher name, or you can decide to go with them, and then they help you from there. So it's like a great company if you don't want to pay to have somebody do it. If you're self-motivated, you can definitely produce a book yourself, too.
Well, and I'm very familiar with Lulu, and they are, they've been around a long time, and they're also what is called print on demand, so that you don't have to order copies of your book in order to get it published. People can buy it, and as they're ordered, they're printed. So you don't have a stack of books hanging out in the back of your garage or in your attic waiting for people to buy them. They get printed as they get purchased. So
yes, and I love that concept too. So there's not. I'm very into recycling and things like that, and they are a very eco-friendly company, and I love the concept of the print on demand. So paper and such isn't going to waste. So
yep. No, I totally agree with you on that. And they make it a lot easier for authors than it was 10 years ago. So
absolutely, yeah,
it's much easier to get a book up in print now than it was. And I actually know people that published their books several years ago on Lulu, and now they have to update them because they're new formats. And
yep.
They could still use the old formats, but now it's a lot more flexible. And now yours would be a different kind of editing than a traditional novel or a nonfiction book. Did you have someone go through and edit your book, or did you just you wrote the scripts and when the scripts were done, you decided to use them, and then you just put everything together and self-edited?
I did. Well, of course, once I got everything together, because I had an idea of how I wanted the format to look like. I knew I wanted the intro, kind of like a back thing about it, and then I wanted scripts, after the script. So I wanted to like stat stagger it. So I knew how I wanted the interior of the book, but I did have an editor, somebody to go through, read the entirety of the book, do like the, you spelled this word wrong, or maybe you should change this. So so there was somebody doing that did two read-throughs of it, of the draft and the red pen and everything like that. So, and then once all that was done, I went back through, did all of the final touches and the works, and then I got a mock copy and then signed off on that, and then that was good to go. Okay.
And you probably had to find someone that was familiar with script writing rather than just someone who was a regular book editor?
So somebody that was actually familiar with film, does mainly focus on acting, so knows how to actually read the in a script format. But it's mostly the script format I kind of knew. I was mainly looking at like structurally, like making sure the spelling and all of that. So that's what was the mainly focus on the editing.
And as far as your book cover, did you do that yourself, or did someone in your collaborative group of people, was someone able to do that for you?
I did it myself. It's actually just a solid orange, and I actually made the orange myself. I didn't realize that there's over 2,000 different oranges, so I was like, wow, that is a lot of orange. So I kind of made the own hue. I knew in my head what kind of orange I wanted, and there's something about, like, I played around with having an image on there or, like, having a design, but it just, nothing looked right. I just wanted the title and like, a nice orange. It's like, so you see it, it's a very distinct book, and I do have an idea of making this into a series, and every, like, this book is focused on the aspects of independent filmmaking, the actual filmmaking. And the next book that I'm in form and like working on is going to be focused on the actual screenwriting portion of it. And so that one's going to have like a different color. So anyway, so by the end of the series, it's going to be each book will be a different color, but it'll be well-rounded, kind of
the same style.
I'm sorry?
The same style cover, but each one will just have a different color.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. You've got that all thought out. I'm impressed. Not that you need to impress me, but there are a lot of people that I talk to that, and not people that I've interviewed in the podcast. It's more people that I talk to that, don't have their books up yet, or they're not very successful, or they haven't finished them for one reason or another, or that they've put it up and they can't figure out why it's not selling. And a lot of the reason is because they don't have a consistent, either they didn't get it edited, or they don't have a consistent look to the cover is too busy or doesn't have enough elements on it. So there's a lot that goes into that part of it as well. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And now, and you are in your genre, so like you're actively involved in, what you're writing about, so you know what attracts people to the kind of books that you would want to go read, and that's really important. You know your audience very well.
Yeah, and that's what and that's what kind of inspired the book too. Because I remember while I was in film school, like. There's books that I had to read, and there's books that I read for fun, and it kind of took me every which way, but I never read a book like this before, and I was just thinking while I was in film school, like especially like if I just wanted like an idea, it would just be so much easier to read a script to see like, oh, this is how the format is supposed to be, or like, oh, that's a, you know, just kind of it's just a really great and useful tool for somebody in the filmmaking industry, especially if you're new or if you're in film school, if you're like an independent filmmaker. It's just like a great tool and a great read. But also, if you aren't in the film industry, like my mom got the book and she reads it as short stories, and she loves it as just reading short stories. So it's kind of marketable to a wide variety of people.
And that's one of the other reasons I want to see it, because I would like to put some of my son's things together, the shorter things. He did a lot of short plays, and I'd like to put those together into a collection. So I'll be really interested to see how you did it. And now, how are you going about marketing the book? Now, we all know that since you're doing Lulu, you got to do some, no matter how you publish, you got to do some marketing yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I will definitely say that I'm not good at the marketing and promotion aspect, so I did hire somebody. She has been phenomenal, and she actually helped find you and schedule this, and she's out there trying to schedule interviews for me and promote my book and trying to get it into the right hands. So I found her online, and her communications has just been great, and she's definitely come through. So for anybody that is looking for and you can't afford like that big, publishing company right off the bat, I encourage you to try to find an independent marketing people that want to build a portfolio and just generally want to help you, because they can do just as great of a job on a lower budget. So.
And again, it's back to building community and, networking around to find people that, you can cooperatively help each other. So,
Absolutely.
She's helping you publish and you're helping her get more clients, and, she's helping you with your marketing. And like you said, she found me. She goes through and looks through all the places that people are posting queries that want to talk to folks like you. And then she gets you hooked up on that. And do you have a social media platform? Do you have a website?
I do. I am on LinkedIn, though I must admit I don't use it very much, but I do have and I'm on Facebook as well, but I also have my own website that's just GennaSipperley.com, but it's Genna with a G.
Okay.
And it has all of my scripts that I've written on there. It has a link to buy the book. It has the independent screenwriters info about them that I kind of talked about earlier. And I also design fonts, so it kind of has like that on there as well. So it has anything I do, kind of like my writing resume. So if you need to get in touch with me, if you want to contact me, that's a great place to start.
Okay. Now tell us about the association that you started.
The Independent Screenwriters, because I was telling people, about this is like last year, a little over a year ago, and about the writing, and like my short scripts and kind of like the idea of the book before it was even started. And a lot of people were like, well, I get this all the time. Like, I have this great idea for a movie, but I don't know how to write a script. Or, oh my God, this would make such a good, but I don't know how to write it. So that just kind of gets me thinking, like, there are so many people that have great ideas for like short scripts or movie ideas, but it's one thing to still like have it, but another thing to actually write it. So I started this, and it's basically there's 4 different classes. There's a feature writing class, a short script writing class, a logline building course, and a character building workshop. So it's kind of whatever one you want to do. I think there's something in it for. So if you have an idea, like I think this would be a great short script, I take you from week 1 building that idea. So by the time you finish that 5-week course, you have a completed script, and I will show you how to market it or how to start submitting it to places and register with the WGA and all of that. So yeah.
That's awesome. Again, you found a need and you filled it, and you know your audience. You know your audience very well.
Yeah, so I'm trying.
You're trying. And I like that, and most creative people I know are like you, where they don't just pigeonhole themselves into one place or another. And they find, they hone their craft, and yet they also find other needs within their craft that that they can fill for people. Like you said, I have never come across a book that actually had, like you said, the notes for the filmmaker and the how to read a script, and then had scripts that you could go through and say, this is how this part should be and this is how that part should be. And I think that's going to be fascinating for me to understand what I'm doing. And you said that your short scripts read like short stories. Have you reformatted them as a short story, or are they still in script format and people just read through them?
They're definitely in script format, so they're ready to film. But before the scripts start, I kind of there's a section I wrote how to read a short script and understanding the script lingo.
Okay.
And I kind of broke it down for people that just don't know how to read a script. Like EXD means exterior, INT means interior, VO means voiceover, or cut to means this. So, or like montage means this. So they know ahead of time as they're reading it. So if they see EXD, they know that what I'm describing on that action line means that it's happening outside. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of I kind of wrote down like a cliff note of how actors or directors or filmmakers read scripts, so as somebody that's not in that field, if they want to read this as short, they know how it flows, and once you get into it, you can just kind of read it.
Wow, you've just given me so much. You've given us, our listeners as well, so much information, and it's so awesome. So if someone is sitting on a bunch of scripts at home, and they're not sure what to do with them, would you recommend that they put together a book of their scripts, or would you recommend what would you recommend that they do? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
So I wouldn't recommend putting it as a book. I did it as a book to create it as a tool and as like a short story. But if they actually want their scripts getting made, and if they have like one that they really want to focus on, or if they have or if they actually want it to be made into a film by filmmakers, I would suggest there's this company called Inktip, and you could submit your short scripts on there. You can just post your log line and your name, and it's free to do short scripts. But if you want to post your feature scripts, you post the synopsis, your name, and what the film is about. I think it's like $35 or $40 for 6 months. And I've actually had several of my scripts produced through Inktip, and it's a great beginning tool, and it's a great networking tool, and I've met other filmmakers in there that I've kept relationships with. So if you're just starting out, I would recommend that site. And there's definitely other sites out there. Just be sure to watch for scams.
Right.
People saying that, if you pay me this, I can do this for you. Don't ever do that. Always, there are free services out there that help. And also, Craigslist under the creative section, if you have you post something like, I have a short film looking for somebody to produce it, you'll get a lot of responses from college students and things like that actually want to make shorts and need materials. That's a great way to get it out there. There's definitely free routes for people that do have, they're just sitting on scripts at home, and if they aren't sure if it's good enough or not, I'd recommend looking up the independentstreamwriters.com, because they can also help reformat and make sure that they have a finished product to pitch. If not, there's other services too out there. So that's what I recommend.
Can you spell the name of the website that you mentioned? Is it Ink? INK?
Yeah. So it's capital INK, capital TIP.com.
Okay. I want to make sure I put that in the show notes. Okay. Awesome. Well, I think that we've covered just about everything that I would want to cover for this particular podcast. I want to thank you so much for, first of all, for writing the book. because I think that that's the kind of book that is going to be very helpful to folks that maybe are between high school and college and they aren't quite sure what they want to do. They think they want to try out filmmaking. It sounds like that's the kind of book that might be something that they can read to help them figure out if that's what they want to, if that's what they want to do. And
absolutely.
I think that I think you've definitely filled the need, and I think you've given us a lot of information on how to do. My questions usually are how can newcomers get into this, which you already explained, and what I guess the one thing I would say is what do you want people to take away the most from this podcast? What would be your final parting thoughts for people that are out there listening?
I would love for you to buy this book and check it out, but also if you have an idea and if you just want to write, or if you want to make film, or if you want to be an artist or anything, I think the arts are an amazing field, and I think it's underfunded, but I think that you should always follow your passion, always follow your dream. There are resources out there to help you make these dreams come true. Even if you don't have a lot of money, just don't give up on it, because it'll happen. So
that's great. Give me the name of your website one more time so that folks that are listening on iTunes or whatever, they'll be able to go to your site if they don't find the show notes.
Okay, it's www.GennaSipperley.com.
Okay, beautiful. And the book is available on, you said, Barnes & Noble and...
Yes, and it's directly through Lulu.com. It's through my website, and you can also find it online at I believe, BarnesandNoble.com and or Amazon.
Okay, cool. And as always, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to be our guest today. I thoroughly enjoyed all the information that you shared, and hopefully we'll get some other folks that'll be very excited about your book, and not only will we increase your sales, but we'll just increase the level of information that's out there about filmmaking and script writing that will help people that have that in their head that they want to be able to do it. And for those of you listening, I would love it if you would go over to BookGoodies.com, BookGoodies.com, and do a search for Genna Sipperley, and you will find her podcast, and you can leave us comments and ask questions. And you can also go to the Contact Us button at the top of BookGoodies.com. That will allow you to let us know what topics you would like to have covered on future podcasts. And there's a place where you can click to tell us about your book, and that will enable us to put a post on our website about your books. And we also would want to thank Geekcast.fm, GeekCast.fm. Geek as in computer geek and cast as in podcast, Geekcast.fm, where you can find other podcasts about marketing, internet marketing, working from home, and just all things marketing, and also the BookGoodies podcast lives there as well. And if you want to find out anything about me, you can go to DeborahCarney.com. And as always, I want to thank you for listening, and I want you to get out there and get writing, no matter what your format is, and have a great day.
Thank you.